A string rooted bar chords. Before attempting this tutorial, I recommend you go through the tutorial on E string rooted bar chords. A string rooted bar chords are quite commonly called second position bar chords, and today we'll learn the four main shapes. These are the major shape, the minor shape, the seventh or dominant seventh shape, and the minor seventh shape. Of all the chords you've learnt so far, including the chords you're going to learn today, arguably the most difficult chord is the major shaped A string rooted bar chord. Because of its difficulty, we'll look at three different ways of playing it. Once you've decided which way you're most comfortable with, you should then stick with that way of playing it. If you continue to practice all three methods, you'll just be wasting practice time, which could be better used by mastering one of the methods. The first method is the most textbook method. You'll notice the first finger creating a bar across the 5 strings, and the A shape being created with the second, third and fourth finger. The most common issue I tend to see with this chord is the little finger dragging on the top E string, causing it to mute. To avoid this, you need to bring your thumb down towards the floor, bringing your fingers round so the little finger goes onto its tip. This should give you plenty of room so the chord sounds clean. If you have larger fingers, so you have difficulty getting them into the available space, one of the next techniques may be better for you. Here we have the first finger creating the same bar across 5 strings, but this time we have the little finger on the B string and the third finger covering 2 strings. The reason the third finger is used to cover 2 strings and the fourth finger only covers 1 string and not the other way around is to do with the previous issue. The fourth finger should be as upright as possible to avoid muting the top E string. The last method of playing the second position major shape is very similar, but this time the second finger is covering 2 strings and the third finger is covering 1 string. Again, the third finger covers 1 string so it can be more vertical and avoid dragging on the top E string and muting it. This method I tend to find is better for people with long fingers, because people with short fingers tend to pull the first finger out of shape, making the bar weak and causing dead notes. If you are having trouble with the bar, with any of the second position bar chords, there are ways to improve it. The first method is just to make sure the finger is as straight as possible and it's lying between the frets and not on the metal. Another method that some people find helps give them a stronger bar chord is to extend the first finger across to the bottom E string. If you do this, remember not to strum all the strings. You still don't play the bottom E string, but by extending the bar chord you bring your hand round and your fingers onto their tips, giving you a cleaner chord. But this technique isn't for everybody. Many people prefer to bar just the 5 strings they're playing. Once you've mastered the second position major shape, the other 3 second position bar chord shapes seem relatively easy. The A string rooted minor shape. The second position minor shape is very similar to the first position major shape. It's almost as if it's just been dragged up a string. If you can play the first position major shape, you shouldn't have any trouble with this one. The A string rooted 7th shape or dominant 7th shape. The second position 7th shape is a little more difficult. The thing to watch here is that the third finger doesn't drag on the G string or the fourth finger doesn't drag on the E string. To avoid this, you need to bring your thumb round towards the floor and make sure your fingers are well round the guitar so that the third and fourth fingers are sitting properly on their tips. The A string rooted minor 7th chord. This chord is relatively easy to play, and as long as you use the same techniques as we've gone through with the previous chords, you shouldn't have any trouble with this one. Once you can play the 4 different chord shapes of the second position reasonably well, you can move on to trying them in different positions. If you remember the first string or E string rooted bar chords, they got their names from the root, and the root was on the E string. In exactly the same way, the root of the A string rooted bar chords is on the A string. So, in order to complete this tutorial of second position bar chords, you need to memorize the name of the notes on the A string. Even before memorizing the names of the notes on the A string, you should be able to try the following chords, which are all based on the major shape. B major in the 2nd fret. C major in the 3rd fret. D major in the 5th fret. E major in the 7th fret. And F major in the 8th fret. Obviously, these chords would change their names if you use the different shapes, for example the minor or the 7th. Combining the E string rooted bar chords and the A string rooted bar chords, you now have a complete set of chords. So you can play every single major, minor, 7th and minor 7th from F to F. And you don't need me to tell you how useful that is. To fill the gaps, we'll just do a quick revision on sharps and flats. A sharp is literally just up 1 fret, and a flat is literally just down 1 fret. So, for example, to create a C sharp major, we take a C major and move it up by 1 fret. This is now C sharp major. Or, to create a B flat major, we take a B major and move it down by a fret. This is now B flat major. The same rule applies to all chords. So now you can play every single major, minor, dominant 7th and minor 7th from F to F, including all the flats and sharps.